It's time to live your dreams. Nothing's gonna stop you now. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. Every day a woman race. Every day a woman race.
Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday to you. Welcome to Style with Trysh. As you know, every Thursday we go live on Facebook, partnered with none other than Swag Her Magazine. Thank them for allowing us to share their platform. And thank you guys for coming and hanging out. We have an amazing guest lined up for today. You guys already know, you've been asking, you've been waiting, you've been searching, and she is finally here. She is my friend, none other than DawnRena Livingston. She's gonna we're gonna jump in with her in just a second. But just so you know, we are kicking off season 3 of Style with Trysh. So make sure you go to trishstanley.com and follow us there. We're going to start season 3 in the first Sunday in March of this year. We're going to actually announce that every Thursday leading up to that. But we're doing the tapings this weekend, so your girl going to be tired this weekend. It's going to be a crazy weekend. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And even in season 3, we have the wonderful, the beautiful, the effervescent queen of Swagger Magazine, who will be joining us, Fancy. She will be one of our very special guests for season 3. So make sure you guys stay locked in and tuned in, connect with us on all social medias. But we're not all about that on today. We're ready to jump in and talk with our guest today, who is none other than DawnRena, as I stated before. We did have to reschedule her because during that, I think the last time we were having a tornado watch or something here in Atlanta, and I lost electricity. I think you were fine.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was fine. Thank the Lord. And thank the Lord your power came back before too long.
Yeah. We were only down a couple of hours, but it was just too much to try to, hurry up and get everything set up before 7. So yes, so we finally have you here joining with us. If you will, as I put on the post, you are a stock and FOREX trader professional. But if you would introduce yourself and your expertise, please.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. Happy Black History Month to all of us. So, I mean, it's gotten off to a quick start. I mean, we're already at February 2nd. I'm like, hey, slow down. I mean,
right.
28 days. But I am DawnRena Livingston. And as you mentioned, I am very much into Forex trading. Stock trading, I'm getting into a little bit more. But this is all a fairly new journey for me that started about 2 years ago after leaving corporate America. I was looking for what the next move was. I actually was being, guided by spirit that said, okay, don't look backwards, try to look forward. And try to plot your path based on what God has given you as strengths. And basically that I kind of fell into it that way for the most part. That's a quick version.
Yeah. And speaking on transition, because, here on the show, we always talk about life transitioning from, like you stated, from corporate America into becoming your own entrepreneur, your own boss in every sense of the word. What was that transition like for you?
Well, okay. What is it still like? You mean?
Right.
It ain't over.
Because how long has it been? How long has it been for you?
2 years. Okay. September 2020 was the last time I was actually collecting a check. Okay. A payroll check. Mm-hmm. So ever since then, it's been whatever I can make of it, So, and I say it that way because, hopefully, even though I'm kind of painting the picture in a way that might sound discouraging, it's really not. Really, if you step out there and have faith, sometimes you're not able to see what the end is going to be. But if you just keep moving forward in the direction that you're being led to go, keep yourself open. It will all end up all right. I mean, but so how it started, like I said, I just kind of knew when I left corporate America. I had been in corporate America for 29 years.
Wow.
So, most people give it 30 years at least. That's what they say is retirement, right? 30 years. So it's like, all right, if I'm coming out at 29, okay, I'm not going back in for 1 year. If I go in, I'd be making a commitment. And I was like, I really didn't see myself. I didn't see my life being a part of corporate America for, my future. So that was the first thing. That was the unction. That was the spirit telling me that, okay, you're at a crossroad. You're at a place to make a decision. I'm giving you options and choices to make. So I chose to try to feed myself and find different ways because, God gives us all the ability to obtain wealth. That's scriptural. So, I just tried to tap into those things, and it led me to Forex. I did not know about Forex 3 years ago. So,
yeah, I'm very new to, well, we'll talk about that. I'm extremely new to it, but even just on the encouragement on where you're concerned is you've only been doing this for 2 years, as far as stepping out on your own and being on your own, and so you're like in the thick of it. So it hasn't been that long, but I'm sure it feels like it's been that long.
It's been a journey. It's been a journey. Yeah.
And that's a realistic, and that's why I always ask that question for people who have gone through or going through transition, because people really need the trueness of it. Because a lot of times on social media, we'll look and people, everybody is just blossoming and everybody is successful and blooming and booming. And they're not really giving the nitty gritty, honest truth. And so when people jump out there, even though I feel like even outside of that, you should do your homework, but people are jumping out there just on what they see and not really getting the true essence of the ups and downs of being your own boss. So I'm glad you shared that. So you become a Forex expert. And before we go into that, I just kind of wanted to share that you and I, of course, worked together at AT&T, and even a lot of years that you were there a lot longer than me. You found yourself into teaching, and I personally feel like that's part of your spiritual gift.
It is. It absolutely is.
And so you were teaching then at AT&T. You got to the point where you were teaching at church. Almost to the point where you were teaching in music in that particular area of area. How does it feel to know? Because some people in their ripe ages or young ages have not really discovered what it feels like, or what life is like when you know what your spiritual gift is. So even beyond, because you teach Forex too, we'll get into that, but knowing that spiritual gift that you have of teaching, how does that help you and enhance your life?
Oh, wow. So whenever you figure out or get to know what your purpose is, and that's what anybody who doesn't know, first of all, I don't want anybody to feel away. Like you said, it doesn't matter if you at your big age, whatever your big age might be, it's okay. What the most important thing is to seek. The most important thing is to ask. And what you will end up finding out is it will be something that you've always been doing. So Trysh, like you mentioned, when we worked together, I used to teach at work, and I used to always get great feedback. Okay. It started as simple as that. Everybody loved DawnRena's class. People were hearing about, me training on, I worked on the 4th floor of the building when we worked in the same building together. And people would hear about me on different floors, as a trainer. Okay. At the time, I didn't necessarily tap in and know what that meant. It was only later that I realized, okay, your name is being circulated around on you doing something that is just so very natural for you to do. It wasn't a chore for me to do. It was very easy. And that's why people were receiving that so well. How I really kind of got the tie and realized that it was a spiritual gift was when because I started teaching at work before I ever started teaching at church. So, it did eventually, it got to a place where I was teaching Sunday school, and I taught adults, I taught women. And And likewise, same thing. I don't teach any longer at church. I still have, when I show up at service, there are people that will still come up to me and say, girl, I miss our class. Are we getting back together in class, or whatever? And I'm like, a lot of times we do want to go back and recreate things the way they were. But I told you, I learned that way back when I left corporate America, when I was, about to leave that last time. God started telling me things about going back. It's not always, even though it was good. There's a reason it didn't continue. That's because sometimes there's a direction. So again, anybody who's seeking their purpose, just keep seeking, keep asking, and start looking for that thing within you that you do so easily. Some of those things that, like I said, other people know you for those things, or whatever. And then how you turn that into, or what God does with it is he gives you the ability to use it in various ways. So I was teaching on a job, right? They were paying me to teach their material.
Right.
Then, like I said, I started teaching God's word. And then God showed me that, you can teach anything. You have the spirit for it. You have the ability to connect to people. And the next thing he said was, now fine, you just need to find a way to make money from doing it. And that's how I branched into offering courses, classes in FOREX.
Yeah. And I think you definitely have the temperament as a teacher, and as being a former student of yours, because you have the right temperament, your students tend to want to we want to make sure we please you, because you're so patient and you're very descriptive. You can break it down in the most easy, and I don't care what topic it is, flawless way. And like you said, the thing I loved about what you said was, it's something that you already possess. It's something that you already possess, and it comes easy for you. But because we think it's got to be this big thing, this big big dynamic, thing, we tend to overlook it.
Absolutely.
And so I love that you said it's probably the minute thing that people compliment you for, things that you're known for. That's probably the very thing. So kind of explain to us, what is FOREX?
Okay. Well, believe it or not, like I said, I only learned about it within the past 2.5 years or so myself. I stumbled upon FOREX when all I knew was I wanted to understand stocks. I wanted to understand the stock market. All those years in AT&T, they kind of would tell us a little bit about it, especially when it was time to, put money in our 401ks and all this stuff. I remember they used to do seminars and stuff. And I loosely paid attention. I really wish I had paid, closer attention. So anyway, maybe about 3 years or so ago is when I really started saying, I want to look into, trying to learn about stocks, just the stock market in general. And I've heard about stock trading. So I was like, that might be a way to make some money. So, I went down to, I call it YouTube University, but it's also a rabbit hole, so I went down the YouTube rabbit hole, and I ended up stumbling upon FOREX. So what FOREX is it is the foreign exchange. FOREX is like an acronym. FOR for foreign exchange. And the foreign exchange is it's a currency market. Okay. If anybody's ever been out of the country, for example, let's say Mexico. In Mexico, they use pesos. In the United States, we use dollars. If you went to a shop in Mexico, in the, some of the non-touristy kind of areas, they may only accept pesos. So then you would have to find a way to exchange your US dollar and change it into a peso. And then what you would find out is that usually is not a 1-for-1 exchange. The currency rate for every currency type in all the different countries, as well as the currency rate for our US dollar, it fluctuates all day, every day. It fluctuates. And one of the things I remember teaching in class, you may remember from class, people don't even realize the US dollar, we all think is equivalent to 100 pennies, right?
Right.
It ain't always equivalent to 100 pennies, you know.
You're right.
Sometimes lately it's actually been equivalent to more than.
Oh, okay.
It's been over. But,
Mm.
you know, right now it's starting to slide back down again. I don't know what it is. I can look really, if I leave here and look, it'll leave me from the screen?
Oh, no. You go ahead.
Change
You
my
can go
window?
ahead and look.
Okay, so
We got time. We trying to. This is a learning session.
so the dollar right now is worth, it's actually worth 101.739. So
Okay.
it's a penny over actually
Mhm.
right now.
And is that everywhere, or is that a specific place?
So that's how much the value of $1 is right now.
Okay.
Technically speaking, if you went to the bank with $1, they're supposed to give you 101 pennies.
Oh,
They
wow.
don't do that because that ain't how our economy works. But you should realize that the value of that dollar, even though it doesn't change for you, the same piece of paper, that same dollar bill, it still will buy you the same thing, but in the background, it doesn't buy you the same thing. That's why inflation impacts us so hard or whatever. The same dollar last year, we could have got a dozen of eggs for, a couple dollars. This year, prices are a lot different. Them
Right.
same eggs seem like they cost you a whole arm and a leg, but no. So the fact that the value of currency fluctuates, that market can be traded upon, and it is traded upon every day, all day. What you're trading on is the fluctuation of the market. So if I wanted to buy pesos today, if today I'm just using numbers, right? Round numbers. If I could take $1 and say buy 10 pesos today and then hold them for a week, then trade them back in, then I might be able to get 20 pesos. It might be worth 20 pesos. In other words, if I held it for a week, because the prices fluctuate. Now, the thing to understand is to watch the markets and be able to see what plays into what makes it fluctuate. So, and those are the things that I learned. And one last thing, you keep referring to me as a Forex expert. I thank you. I don't know if there is, there are people who trade on a professional level. They trade thousands and tens of thousands of dollars, or whatever. It's the same principles, I guess, but I'm not quite at that level yet. So, but I do appreciate that. I receive it in Jesus' name that I'm an expert.
Well, you have it well enough to teach it. So to me,
yes,
that is. And so we kind of touched on this just a little bit, and we're going to go a little bit deeper into Forex because one of the things that I wanted, we'll go deeper into that here in a second. What made you select this particular area of expertise? I know you said that it was something that you came across, but what about it caused it to jump out and say, oh, this is what I want to really jump in, dig in, not just learn it for myself, but also be able to teach it?
Because I never heard of it. Because I never heard of it. And the fact that it's so prevalent. It's right there. I have been out of the country. My mother lived in Japan, right?
Yeah.
My mother used to exchange her money when she got paid living in Japan. She was living, in an apartment that would accept her rent in Japanese yen. They did not accept US dollars.
Okay.
So when my mother used to get paid, I remember I'd be on the phone with her and she'd be talking about going to exchange her money. And she'd be talking about the fact that, oh no, I'm not exchanging it this week. The rates are too high. I'm gonna wait and see if the rates are better next week. Because she already knew that she had to time it, Okay, so I was exposed to all of that. I never knew that there was a market where people were trading against that all day, every day. And it, oh, by the way, is the largest financial market there is. It's the largest. It's larger than the stock market as far as the amount of money that's moved through it.
Yeah.
And so that was probably the biggest reason, because I'm like, I can't believe this is happening right under my nose and I don't know. You
Yeah.
know,
All of our noses.
all of our noses. And this is also what inspired me to want to share it
Yeah.
with others, because I'm like, I can't, this can't, we can't let this go without everybody getting to know about this thing if they
Right.
want to know,
Right.
you know. So that's kind of how it started.
So in that type situation, did she have to do, because I have a girl, well, you know, Bernice was in China for many years. So my question is, because she was there, did she have, was there a certain percentage of her, because you said she had to pay rent in yen. So
Mhm.
did she exchange her entire check, or was it just a portion of her check that was exchanged?
So she would exchange whatever whatever amount of yen. Is almost like she put herself on a budget, because
Okay.
living there, and my mother worked for the government, so there were certain places she could go where, like on a base, they will accept U.S. currency.
Okay.
But
Okay.
because she still has to move about the city
Mhm.
of Okinawa, Japan, where she was,
Mhm.
she would have to have on her person some
Mhm.
yen at all times.
Okay.
So I don't think she wouldn't exchange her entire check, but
Mhm.
she would take a certain amount out and exchange it, you know, to pay the bills she needed and whatever little things incidental she had to have money for.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I was wondering, that would be a huge gamble to have to put everything that you made into that. Okay. Well,
Mhm.
that's very interesting. And so I always ask my guests why they title their businesses what they title it. And you've
Mhm.
titled yours 4CG Wealth. What does
Mhm.
that stand for, and why did you select that name for your business?
So I have 3 children and 1 grandchild.
Okay.
My grandchild is 23 years old. Okay.
Mhm.
So she's like one of my kids, you know.
Right.
So that's where the 4 comes from.
Mhm.
And then the CG wealth is creating generational wealth.
Okay.
I knew I needed it to be scripturally tied. I needed to represent myself well
Mhm.
everywhere, you
Mhm.
know. And
Mhm.
so I was like, oh, for CG wealth, you know, because again, also what I'm doing and what I'm into, everything that I'm into now, which has grown even beyond Forex, by the way, but
Mhm.
I'm into anything about you know, having financial knowledge, financial understanding, investing, you know, how to
Mhm.
turn your money, make your money work for you. What's the
Mhm.
best things to do, even as a young person, in order to make sure that you're um,
Secure your
setting
future.
yourself up for your
Mhm.
future appropriately, even beyond jobs and 401ks, because as
Mhm.
I know, you know, a 401k lasts as long as the job lasts. Okay. If the job
Right.
don't last,
That's right.
okay. I mean, the 401k will still be there, but it stops, you know, and then
Mm.
you got to figure out what to do with it. You
Mm.
know, move it somewhere, or, you know, like a lot of us take the money out. That's probably not the best thing, but it's what happens. But, you know, so I've been very much feeding myself
Mhm.
and learning most things financial is the direction I'm leaning towards. So 4CG Wealth is really about creating my generational wealth, and it's not just my family,
Mhm.
and that's where the teaching aspect comes in. So
Mhm.
I want to spread it out. You know, the generational wealth is, you know, generations beyond my own
Right.
flesh. Well, we're all part of the same family, you know, Christ believers, we're the same, but I'm just saying not my own, just for my kids. I'm talking
Right. Right.
really creating. I really would love for us to have a better mindset around money.
Mhm. And we
'Cause
really need it. Yeah.
yes, there's no need for us to not, especially in these days and times when so much information is available,
Mhm. For
just
free.
readily available.
Mhm. Mhm.
Hmm.
I agree. And so, kind of flowing into that, share a few things that we as novice, you kind of touched on a few things, we as novice out here, because I don't know a whole lot, and I know I'm not alone, but I know that there is an emergence of people who are really trying to take ownership and take control of their 401ks and what they invest in. Um, like, for instance, I've gotten the Robinhood. I have Robinhood. I have Kraken. I've made some investments in Cash App with with some certain companies, but I'm still very much a novice. So share a few things that about the stock market and even investing that us ordinary people don't know that will help inspire us to kind of dig in and want to learn more.
Well, first of all, we're all starting from the same playing field. Everybody had to learn. Everybody had to start from somewhere. So I guess the biggest piece of advice I would give to anybody, because most of the time we feel like, oh, there's no way I can understand that or get to know that, or, that's over my head or whatever. I don't know. I never have that attitude. I don't care what it is. I'm like, they had to learn it. They didn't start off knowing how to do it. So if you would just remove that block from your mind to say that you cannot learn. The stock market, for example, everybody thinks it's so mysterious. It's so difficult. It can't be that difficult. There's a lot of people in there making a lot of money doing it. Okay.
But in all honesty, it was always a stigma that kind of kept us from that, because there was a certain element and a certain remnant of people who wanted to harbor that information, and so it made it seem like it was they made it seem like it was so difficult. But go ahead.
That's kind of why I started off saying so much information now is available. It's no longer hidden. And you're right, they did have it under a cloak of secrecy, or it seemed to be. And also, we're only coming into an age in mine and your lifetime where they allowed you to take that financial responsibility into your own hands. So there was a time you would have to actually employ like a money manager or something like that. So now that we're in a day and age where you can have it, like you said, right on your phone, you can have, Robinhood. Look, I bought a stock on Cash App.
Me too, girl. I got some.
I just wanted to trial it. I was like, I'm gonna just try it. Just go, buy one. I didn't buy a full share. I just put $5 on it. I got 5 on it, but only because I was like, Cash App, what?
Yes.
Let me check it out. So.
I got some money sitting in Cash App right now from investments that I made. Yeah,
exactly. And so that. All right, right there. Okay, everybody just needs to take one step. That's all. Just take a step. And the first step that I would say is, again, I'm a firm believer in knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think knowledge is going to be important for us as a whole, as people. I don't know. I don't want to say this is a prophecy, but at the same time, I do want people to take it serious, to say that. We're in a time where you can't just accept everything. You're going to have to know. So you're going to have to spend some time trying to get to know, so that you can weed, the false, from what's real. So the first thing I would suggest, whatever it is, if you are interested in investing, you can start with Google. Okay. Yeah. Google will give you a whole bunch of information to start with. You can take classes and courses from people. I would try to, go through and see who speaks a language that works for you, or whatever, if you want to, because the most important investment you can make is to invest in yourself.
Come on now.
And your education.
You give classes. I suggest everybody listening come and take classes from you, but go ahead.
Me too. But I'm broadening it because if it's something that I don't teach, if it's something else that you're, interested in, financially speaking or whatever, stocks, I don't really teach about stocks yet, because like I said, I'm still just starting to get into. It's very similar. The trading style of it is similar to how you trade Forex, but there's a different set of knowledge that you have to have. You got to do a little more kind of investigating what the company's financials are, the individual companies, and watching their earning statements and knowing how to read the earning statements and all of that, So I'm before the year is over, I definitely will have a full. It won't even take a year.
So now really break down, because I thought I had an understanding before this interview, but now I see that I really don't have an understanding, and I know I'm not by myself. So there's a difference in trading stocks and foreign exchange. Okay,
That's
so
two different markets. Two different markets.
And now this goes with that novice question.
It's okay.
What's the difference? I mean, I know you said you have with the stocks. So there's no stocks in foreign exchange, is what you're saying.
Foreign exchange is, we only talking the currency, dollars, pesos, Japanese yen, all the different currencies that you've heard of in the world, that's all we're talking about. The fact that they fluctuate in price every day, and you can make a trade based on that fluctuation. I just told you a few minutes ago, the US dollar, our dollar is worth 1.017 something, I said, right? So if I were trading that against another currency, I'm just going to throw one out there. I'll say the Great British Pound. You probably heard of the pound before. So if I was trading, I would need to know, first of all, what's the currency rate between the pound and the US dollar. But I would be looking at, okay, do I think the dollar is going to go up in value? So tomorrow, do I think the dollar is going to be worth 1.02 cents? Or maybe it's going to drop down to 98 cents tomorrow. Okay, so then I would place a trade, buy or sell, based on which direction I think this particular currency is going to go.
Okay, so who are you buying it from?
So when you are participating in the Forex market, you're actually buying, the broker is buying, you're not buying anything. The broker is putting this money on the exchange as a buy. They really never are buying anything. All they're doing is placing, I hate to tell people it's like a bet. It's not really like a bet, but they're placing.
Well, all of it was like a gamble to me anyway, but go ahead.
That's the best way for you to relate to it. So basically, but it's not betting at all. It's not really gambling or anything, but just to get your mind to understand what I'm saying, to make it more simplistic. When you place in the bet, you're placing the bet saying, I think tomorrow the dollar is going to be $1.02. Well, if you do that with enough dollars and it goes up, now you get to get the difference between what it is today, which is $1.01, and what it'll be tomorrow, which is $1.02. And if you did enough dollars, that's going to bring you extra money. Okay. So that's the foreign exchange market. So that's currency. The stock market are companies, the stock in that company. AT&T, which you and I both worked for, is a publicly traded company. So the company has shares of stock that's available to the public to buy on the stock market. The more people that decide they want, if AT&T all of a sudden came up with some super product or whatever, their stock prices may shoot up. So if I get in today, because I know this product is coming out and it's going to take off, and their stock price goes up, then now I get to claim all of that, that profit from the difference. Okay, so that's the stock market. It's a totally different market. There are other financial markets, that's what I'm saying. There's financial, there's all kind of stuff going on in this world. And FOREX is the number one financial market.
And that's kind of like what you were touching on before, because you said the New York stock market is just only one entity of all of it. And that's the one we're, of course, the ordinary person is most familiar with.
Yeah, it's the largest one in the United States. But there are stock markets in other countries. There's a European stock market. So and again, you can also take part in that trade. You can buy foreign stocks. I've been looking in Africa right now, because I'm like, hey, Africa is booming and thriving and growing, and I would love to invest in that. I told you, anything financially related, I'm all about it.
And that we really do need to be about that. And I think that's probably going to be my challenge. I usually do a challenge every Black History Month that I say I'm gonna do it because it's Black History Month, but I ended up end up adopting it, and it's something that I do, which is part of the reason why I started buying stock in Cash App, because the last 2 Black History Months, I decided that I was going to invest in Black owned banks. And so what I did was I, of course, invested in 2 separate Black owned banks. And that's how I invested. I said, oh, well, okay, I can invest in Twitter too. I can invest in Nokia, and so then I started investing in other areas. And so I think that what I want to do for this month, I want to research where I can invest in Africa and put some money there and kind of give and support that economy.
Yes.
As well. So thank you for that. Because
you're welcome. Because I told you I'm there as well. And then the way you're starting with your stock investing, that also is a good way for anybody who's thinking about it and they don't know where to start when it comes to the stock side of investing. Start with what you spend money on.
Yes.
That is the best thing. If you go to Walmart every week, you might want to invest in Walmart. You already are, whether you know it or not. You just ain't getting, well, you're getting something back, but you eating it.
Yeah. You kind of giving it back to yourself.
Exactly. Right. I would invest in Walmart if I go where you find yourself going, where you find yourself shopping, where Chipotle. That's a lot of people that love Chipotle. They go to Chipotle every week, and I'm like, you should invest in Chipotle. In the stock.
Yes, and
because every time, if you like it that much, it must be millions of other people that probably like it too.
Right. Which is why I've heard the joke that, man, you eat a lot of such and such. You need to buy some stock. I've heard that people say that before. That's
the truth. That is the truth, and that is, like I said, probably a good for anybody who's just getting started. Start there, because you already think about it. You already know the company. You know enough about them that you go there all the time. You know enough that you like what they're providing, the service that they're providing. That's a basis for how you're going to start evaluating the value of that company. It's valuable to you. You go there every week.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A, I mean,
to me, the people that I'm not a coffee drinker, but anybody who is going to Starbucks every day and you don't have not one piece of stock, what in the world are you doing?
I don't know. You just giving away your money to them.
Yes. And
at least you can get something back.
Exactly. One of the major ones that I ended up paying a little bit more money to get into was Airbnb, because I'm like, now people are not even really interested in staying in hotels anymore. It's all about Airbnb. And so I kind of jumped in the game a little late, so I paid a little more. But I said, and that's the other thing. I jump in and I just leave it. I almost forget about it. What is your take on that particular? Because some people want to they see a little bit of change and they pull out, or they see a drop and they freak out and they panic. Is this a long-term? Are there certain things that should be long-term and short-term, or should we just put it in there, invest, and forget about it and leave it alone?
So all right, unless you're planning to be a trader, day trader, you really are putting it in and leaving it. Okay. Now, I would always keep my eye on my investments. So you said, what, tell me one of your companies again?
Airbnb.
All right. So Airbnb, if all of a sudden, something happens and all of Airbnb, you're hearing about it on the news, and it's like the stock is starting to crash, and they got all this. Like a few years ago, I think even Chipotle was going through something with the food was bad, or whatever. And so, but how they fixed it was they stepped to it immediately. They changed whatever suppliers were bringing their meat or lettuce or whatever it was that was bad. They addressed it or whatever. So that kind of lets you know, all right, the stock, if I'm in Chipotle right now, it might drop a little bit, but I can stay in it. It's going to be all right.
Yeah.
Then also another thing, you set your number that, okay, if you have, I don't know, however many shares of stock in Airbnb or Chipotle or whomever, you can look at the monetary value of it. So if it values to be like $700 worth of stock that you have, you can set it and say, well, if this ever goes below 5, I'm coming out.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's different things that you can do in order to maintain your account the way that you want to. But for the most part, you're putting it in to stay. Now, you do hear about people who are more traders and people who will get in, ride a stock because, yeah, they do know maybe a company is about to do a split or something. So, you know,
Okay.
they know when that happens, the stock price is about to shoot up. So they'll get in and they'll buy some shares and they'll ride it up and then they'll jump out, right? So that is just for somebody who is like, if you're trying to be a trader, if you're trying to, you know, just pick up some quick money here and there, but generally speaking, the stock market is for your long-term investment. Now, also, I'll just throw this out here because the stock market, you may have heard, because the next thing I would advise anybody who's interested in getting started, you're going to have to pay attention when you hear financial news. Financial news is on every night. We watch the news. We know who shot John. You know all of the bad news, right?
Right.
Right. You listen to when the financial news comes on. Start paying attention to them. You know, because guess what they're talking about? Your money. Whether you know it or not, it is your money that they're talking about because what they're saying is going to affect you somewhere down the line. Okay, just yesterday, I don't forgot the question you asked me. I done went somewhere
go
else.
ahead.
You need me to pull it back?
You answered it. Just keep going. Keep flowing.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say just yesterday, the federal chair. I ain't gonna ask you if you remember his name.
Please don't. Jeff.
The chairman of the Federal Reserve, his name is Jerome. Remember? Romy Rome.
Jerome. I remember starting with a J. That's why I said Jeff.
J Powell. We call Jerome Powell is his name, but you know, I call him J Powell because he's my boy. He don't know me, but that's my boy. Why? Because everything he say is going to affect how my money moves, right?
That's right.
So yesterday was the FOMC meeting, which is the federal meeting of the board of, you know, economics. But the federal chairman yesterday announced that he was raising interest rates by 0.25 basis points yesterday.
Okay.
So everybody, I would say if you want to start getting involved financially and understanding things financially, you need to know your numbers. You need to understand those things. You need to listen. If you listen to a financial report, just listen to the one that comes on your nightly news. It's only like 2 minutes, a 2-minute segment, you know. Listen to that. If you don't understand what they're talking about, that's a good place to start. Go look that up. They said some words you didn't understand. Google. What does that mean? You know, everybody has heard the word inflation before.
Yes.
Y'all know we are in a current state of inflation.
Yes.
And that is why the Federal Reserve keeps raising rates. Over the past year, 2022, and including yesterday's rate increase, there have been a total of 8.
Wow.
I think when I did my class, maybe we were probably at the 3rd or the 4th rate hike during the class. And I already knew then that 8 were coming. I mean, they had, well, first of all, the meetings are pre-scheduled throughout the year. That's something else. Most of us don't pay attention, but you know, there are certain times of every month that these financial meetings are going on. These people are getting together in rooms and trying to decide how to, you know, impact your money, you know, or whatever. By raising the interest rates, how does that affect you, you might say? Okay, if anybody who has a credit card, it affects you right away. Your interest rate on your credit card has gone up. I remember, you know, especially right before COVID or around the beginning of COVID, before COVID for me, I used to get in the mail all kind of 0% interest.
Yes, ma'am.
Come to our credit card company, you know, get our card, 0%. Have you ever seen one lately?
No.
You know why? Because the interest rate is 4.75% right now. You're not going to get a 0% interest credit card. You know, now it'll come back maybe one day, maybe, because 0 was Zero is
Lovely.
good. Zero is good. But zero, and well, I won't say in my lifetime. I'll just say in a time that when I was a little more financially aware,
Yeah.
zero was new for me. I was like, oh, 0%? I'll
Yeah.
take two. But
Oh, that's right.
but I'll stop for a minute. I'm gonna breathe. Go ahead, talk.
No,
Talking a lot.
All of this is good nugget. That's why I kind of wanted you to flow. I only have 2 more questions. We got 15 minutes, so we got time to get them in. And then we got to end out with a funny thought. The 2 questions are actually 3. Can you explain the difference between derivatives and commodities?
Well, okay, so both of those words, they're kind of generic. A commodity is just something of value to be traded. So
Okay.
a commodity could be oil. A commodity, when they say a commodity, if you hear the word commodity, it doesn't mean one specific thing. It's probably referring to, if you listen longer, they're going to tell you which commodity they're talking about. But it's just whatever has a value and is being traded. Derivative, very much similar, where the word itself, derivative means like a part of or a piece of, or so when they're talking about derivatives, they're talking about pieces or parts of a company or something, when they're referring to it. So I can't just give you a blanket. Every time you hear derivative, this is what it means. You're going to have to really put it in context.
Yeah. But that was a good explanation. Yeah, that was a good explanation. I think. I don't, y'all let us know in the comments if you need her to expound, but that was a great explanation for me. And then I have 2 more definitions that I wanted you to give us. Actually, what is this? What it stands for, which you'll probably give, and
what is what? What did you say?
ICE. What does it stand for, and what is it?
Oh, on my YouTube channel?
Yes.
Okay. So when I created the YouTube channel, ICE is I Can Explain.
Oh, okay.
ICE. I don't know why I'm into these acronyms, because I started working all those years for AT&T.
Yeah, I was going to say AT&T too long. So
Which
I
was,
this. Oh,
ICE is I Can Explain,
Okay.
Okay,
so I thought that was a financial term, but
no, I made it up. I was like, oh, that's cute. I got that ICE.
Okay, and then the next one is NFTs. We hear about NFTs all the time. Please break down NFTs for us.
Okay. NFTs, I know everybody gets confused about the NFTs, but it's pretty simple. Okay, so here's where I'm going to take you, because I don't know the audience, the age of the audience here, but I would assume everybody's kind of in our age group or familiar with this particular life. But in our lifetime, we used to have, you remember baseball cards? Okay. You can get them in a pack with bubble gum in it, right? Baseball
exactly.
cards. So my little brother used to collect baseball cards, and a lot of people collect baseball cards. So a baseball card, as you remember, was just a piece of paper. It has stats about some baseball player, and people would hold on to it, and it meant something to them. That is what an NFT is. The only difference is the NFT is digital. So think of the baseball card.
Okay.
Or whatever the NFT that's being marketed. It is something that has a value to somebody who wants to collect that thing. It may not be of any value to you. You may not, want it at all. However, there are people who are willing to collect it. That particular item, that card, that baseball card, I could have one with, I'm going to use Babe Ruth. That's a baseball player from back in the day, and everybody wanted to collect his card. Now, I believe his card was worth a lot.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
It probably still is. But I'm just using him as an example. So if I picked a pack of cards, I might have a Babe Ruth in mine. You could also have a Babe Ruth in yours, right? There's nothing to say you couldn't. Right. And hundreds of other people around the world could also have the exact same Babe Ruth card, right? Same thing with the NFT. When you see people selling an NFT, all they're doing is selling a baseball card. If that's the easiest way to, yes, and I think we get hung up on the fact NFT stands for non-fungible token. Okay.
Okay.
Non-fungible. The only thing that non-fungible means is what I just said about the baseball card. It's more than one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You could have one, I could have one, everybody else could have one, and all of them go look the exact same way. It'd be the
Mm-hmm.
exact same thing. Now, there are things in the world that are fungible, like certain pieces of art, like the Mona Lisa.
I was just going to mention that because my niece is an artist and she had a piece that really blew up.
Mm-hmm,
telling her that she needed to get an NFT on it.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'll tell you about the NFT part of that first, but I'm saying the Mona Lisa itself, there is only one.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that makes it fungible.
Right.
That's fungible. So the word, you'd have to look up what the word fungible and all that means. But fungible basically just means there's only one. Okay. It can't be replaced. It can't be, valued with something else. There's only one. If the Mona Lisa got destroyed, that is it. It is over. Now, have there been prints made of it, copies made of it, all that kind? Yes. I'm just saying the original, there's only one, and it can't be replaced. Now, your niece, you said, who's the artist, what she could do is she takes her artwork that she made, and now she can share it in the form of giving out baseball cards. That's what the NFT would be, or selling the baseball cards. Yes, there are people who are in the art industry who would buy it, just like there's people who would buy baseball cards.
Right.
I personally don't want a baseball card. But that doesn't mean that Babe Ruth card loses any value because I don't want it.
Right.
People who want it will buy it.
Yeah.
So did that explain NFT, or do you feel better about understanding? Because I try to make it simple.
That was good. I told you break it down so easy, at least for me. And I think I'm probably in the scale. I'm in the lower bottom 30%. So I know if I can understand.
You are not. I don't even hang out with people in the bottom. No, I'm just kidding. I hang out with wherever I'm needed to hang. But are there anybody got questions in the?
No, everybody's just listening. We had one person.
Okay.
One person said, "Talk that stuff, Queens." That's what he said. Ro Harris said that. So we have a few minutes left, and I only had one other thing. Share with us what services that you offer, and then you can end us out with some encouraging words. Encourage us to get on this and learn this, and also reach out to you if we need that added help.
Absolutely. Well, I'm actually revamping my course because as you know, when I did the course with you, I did it live.
Yes.
What I realized was, that's probably too taxing to continue forward, to do it live. So I'm trying to, I don't know. Are you familiar with Chat GPT? Have you heard of that at all?
I haven't.
It's an AI.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's AI. So basically I have to, Chat GPT can create my course for me.
Okay.
So I have to, kind of set that up. But so I'm revamping for 2023, all of my courses all over again. So right now I'm not really teaching, even though somebody just asked me like a week ago, a guy, he wanted me to do a class.
I had a couple people ask me about you, but go ahead.
Yeah, and so I'm like, all right, I might do a couple of ad hoc classes. You know how I am. I'm like, if it's enough people and that's what they want, you got to give the people what they want.
Yeah.
But yes, so I am trying to regroup and do those classes. I told you it also for me, as far as my next steps and the things that I'm doing, I got to get back into doing my videos. I told on my videos, what I try to do is days like yesterday. I will explain what the Federal Reserve's response was yesterday. I will explain how that impacted the market yesterday. I was trading yesterday. I made lots of money yesterday. Lots of money yesterday. Because, when Jay Powell is speaking, back in our day, there used to be a commercial said, when E.F. Hutton speaks, you listen. Okay. He's the modern E.F. Hutton. He is over how our money, what happens with the U.S. economy. He's the one that makes those moves. He's the chairman. And the Federal Reserve, even though it has federal in the name, it is not it's not impacted by politics. It's supposed to be agnostic, to politics. So it doesn't matter, as a matter of fact, Jerome Powell was appointed by Obama, and he stayed in office through Trump, and he is still in office now. So he was he was appointed by a Democrat. He served both a Democrat and a Republican and back to a Democrat now. So it's not at all tied to politics, or not supposed to be. But I'm just saying, you got to watch them. You got to watch them.
Right.
But so again, when he speaks, like I said, what I would try to do is I would go and do a video and explain what he was saying, and all the other different economic news that comes out throughout the month. I kind of break it down so that when you do your own due diligence and you're watching these, the financial news or whatever, you'll know what these terms mean, or at least you'll have somebody who you can go back and look at their video to explain to you what it meant, what you were listening to. So I got to get back on that in the new year. I've had a lot of things going on. As a matter of fact, I'm still in the midst of trying to get closed out. Yeah. And as soon as I get all that taken care of, then I'll be free to get back into.
But you can, and if you guys are listening and watching and you want to connect with her, we have her IG going across the ticker at the bottom. And you're also on YouTube. So I would suggest go ahead and hook and, go and connect with her on IG and on YouTube. And then when you feel like you need to tug her and tell her, come on, it's about time, send her that message. What's your YouTube? What are you on YouTube?
My YouTube channel is I Can Explain.
Okay. I Can Explain. ICE. It's easy to remember. But thank you, Dawn. I have to definitely do a part 2 on this, because I know it's going to be questions. People tend to be a little shy. They usually hit me up offline. And so if whatever questions I have, I'll forward them to you, or we might bring them into a part 2 and have you come back. But guys, I want to thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you so much to Swagger Magazine once again. Thank you, Dawn. Like I said, you will see her face and you will hear, especially when you get your videos back up. We got to have you back on and discuss the next level of what we need to try to learn. But I think what I got from you the most is that study to show yourself approved. And if you're that interested in a particular area, it may be a weakness. Money and numbers might be a weakness for you, but just take the first step. And then you have people, like she said, you have her in place, you have other people in place that you can kind of glean from. And if all else fails, Google always works. And it's
Google is always there.
Let's be about our financial business in 2023. Let's be financially independent. And once again, happy, or I won't say happy, but this is Black History Month. Show some love to any and everyone who is from the diaspora. It doesn't matter where they are in this country. Show some extra love. We need it. But thank you guys for hanging out with me. As I always sign off, love isn't love unless you give it away. So give some love.
Give it away.
Give it away, girl.
Give it away.
All right, guys. You guys be safe. See you next week.
Thank you.
You're welcome.